Like, you don't need to work, I'll provide for you, I want to be able to look
I feel like I have...
It's one of your kinks
It's
to
not,
look
but
after
not
somebody
100%,
financially.
not 100%.
It's not 100% though, is it?
I am sure that Statler and Dempsey are regretting trapping themselves in this tiny-ass van where all of their problems are coming to the surface and they have nowhere to go. Is Dempsey really only thinking about herself and potentially scamming her? Or is Statler just an aloof liar? Let's get into it. Hi guys, welcome back to Nikki Faces Reality. We're here to discuss 90 Day Fiance the other way, specifically Statler and Dempsey. I haven't covered these two since the first episode of the season. Things are taking a turn, so I thought that it was time to catch you guys up real quick to the latest episode because things are getting a little murky. Usually it's hard for me to get through their scenes because Dempsey is this happy-go-lucky hippie, but there's always a line with hippiness that I'm just like, at what point is your hippiness an inconvenience to everyone else? So you're here like peace, love, let's be chill, but you're causing mayhem in your path. That's how I feel about Dempsey. I do like her, but I do recognize her problematic essence. And then Statler, she makes my blood rise a little bit because I understand that she has, ADHD and she's on the spectrum, I think, and there's a series of things, but she doesn't take accountability for anything. She has someone to blame for everything. She's all over the place. And I can't get with it. It's a hard line to dance with these two. But as you guys recall, when we met Statler, she was really pushing to move to England with Dempsey. She was really pushing for the relationship to move forward. She wanted to leave America. It was a lot. It was aggressive. So after a while, Dempsey was like, you know what? Sure, you can move in with me in England, but plot twist, I want to live the hippie life. I want to live a van life. Statler agreed. Great, they're doing this van life. However, you have to buy the van and everything that comes with it. It adds up. So we saw them at the start of the season, Statler selling all her belongings, considering selling her car, struggling because she was going to be the only money maker for a little bit. And she had to take out a loan, and it was a big deal. And it became very clear that these two had different recollections of any conversation they've ever had when it comes to money. To set the scene to the latest episode, Statler is stressed because she's going to be the only moneymaker. Dempsey has quit her job. She sold her trailer. So Statler is taking in the head of the household role. This has made her be in a bad mood, which relatable. No one wants to feel like they're struggling. But she's arrived to England with this attitude, and it's been a tense few days, and they're stuck in this van. So you can cut the tension with a knife, and she didn't have to be. I don't know why she put herself in this situation. So she's a grump, she's broke, she's tired as heck, and she's sleeping in this uncomfortable van. I don't care what anyone says. Vans will never be comfortable for more than a few hours. To be on it indefinitely is my worst nightmare. Yeah, as I mentioned, there's all this underlying tension and they're trying to coexist. Let's see for how long. This brings us to the latest episode. Before we get into it, as always, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. So we see them at the top of the episode and it looks like they have blessed the van. They are all smiles, which is very different from what we've seen. And Dempsey is like, yeah, wow, we let out some of that tension that's been building. You see them head off to a boot sale. A boot sale is where people sell things off of their trunks, and it's in this open field, kind of like a cool garage sale. Dempsey is really committed to this downsized life, so she wants to get rid of a few things, make a little extra cash. Her commitment to this life, bless, because I just can't. I overpack for everything. If I were to ever do a van life, which I would not, but if I did, I would be like, babes, pack 4 outfits because the rest of the space is for me. Which you shouldn't do. That's not fair. But I wouldn't be in a van. They're getting everything together, and Statler is, trying to run the numbers in her mind because she is hurting in her pockets, okay? So she asks Dempsey, she's like, so hypothetically, if we were to sell everything on this table, how much would you make? And Dempsey's like, I don't know. because she's just free balling it, okay? And I want to note that it could be editing, but Dempsey is immediately annoyed by this conversation. And it appears that it has just started. But then again, this could possibly be like an ongoing thing that she's annoyed by. I just felt like her body language was already like, really? These are important conversations to have, and Statler, says that these conversations make her uncomfortable, but she's trying to get past it. And she says that her friend called her out, that this is a pattern of hers, that she overextends herself financially in relationships. And I wish that she would have removed her friend out of the story, because that's an unnecessary person to blame. Like, you feel this way. Just tell your partner that you feel this way. Don't throw other people in the mix. Also, because if I were to be Dempsey, I would be like, why are you talking crap about me to other people? Obviously, people talk to their friends, but it just doesn't feel good. So Dempsey says that Statler has said many times that she would provide for them and that she doesn't have to work. And I believe it for a few reasons. One, Statler was so pushy about this move. Two, because of the way that she's shifting in place as Dempsey's telling her this, and she's like avoiding eye contact. Three, because Statler uses her ADHD to conveniently forget things, which appears to be a reoccurring thing, because it happened when they were discussing the car loan. She was like, oh, I didn't know that I had to send this amount of money. And Dempsey's like, we talked about it. Like, yes, you did. We talked about it many times. She was forgetting the amount of money that she had to send. She forgot about the exchange rate. It was just like, you could see the frustration in Dempsey's face in that moment, and you see it again in this one, where she's like, just because you conveniently forgot doesn't mean that we didn't have this conversation. Like, don't try to gaslight me. So in this moment, Statler and Dempsey are talking over each other, and I had to rewind it a few times because I was like, wait, did Dempsey say this? So Statler is like, yeah, I wanted to, support us, but that doesn't mean 100%. And Dempsey's talking over her, being like, yeah, remember you said that this is your kink to provide for people. And I was like, now Statler, you gotta back up that big talk or don't say anything at all. Because it sounds like she says these things unprovoked. Dempsey continues to be like, and also, you didn't get the van 100%. So I don't know why you're saying that you did that 100% when I did it too. Statler acknowledges in this moment that Dempsey did do 50% on the van. I think this conversation in itself is just her anxieties about what's to come, not what has been done already. Because up to now, it can be assumed that they've put in the same. I think the issue is that they are starting from different places, so it isn't equitable. They haven't made an equivalent sacrifice. This whole experience has put her in a massive debt. Dempsey appears to not have debt, but that's because she lives her life very differently. She just uses what she needs. She doesn't really plan routes. She, works job to job. She's gotten by. And that's great when you only have to depend on yourself, not when you are trying to do something as a unit. Because now they find themselves in this venture together, and it costs money. Sure, it's an adventure. Sure, you're going to see scenic routes. You'll, get to experience different foods and all of that, but that costs money. It ain't free, babes. And this is where I get Statler. She's going to be financially responsible for the both of them for months, and it is a huge undertaking. So she just wants to get an idea of when Dempsey's going to get a job that will help her contribute. And she tells her, she's like, on top of the loan that I took for the van, I had to get an advance for my job. And that is such a vulnerable thing to express, and also just a risky thing to do with your job. It's laying it all out there in front of Dempsey. And Dempsey's like, I don't know when I'm going to get a job. Like, where's this pressure coming from? Dempsey's like, I put my trust in the universe, and whenever I need a job, I will get a job. And Statler's like, the universe, okay, but like, what kind of job? Like, what do you think? And Dempsey's like, I don't know. Like, when I need it, I'll get it. I don't have any concerns about money. That's not how I live my life. That is so deeply inconsiderate, and also disregarding what Statler is pouring into this. The reason you get to be nonchalant and travel and do all these things is because Statler is footing the bill. Would you be so chill if it was all on you? And she could be doing this because she's uncomfortable with the conversation. It's very easy to be carefree when you know you have a safety net, but Statler is telling her, babes, this safety net has holes. So obviously they have different relationships with money and different approaches to life, and like that's normal, and that's when you work at it. But what she says is, I still have my last month's wages and I have the money from my car. And this is news to Statler. You could see the wheels turning in Statler's brain, being like, wait, you have money left over and I'm in a massive hole? This is why 50-50 is not really the move. In order for it to be equal, you should take in consideration everyone's starting point. And that's why usually the person that's making more should put in more, or whoever has more should put in more. Again, this is something that should have been talked about before ad nauseum, to be super clear. And either they didn't talk at all, or one of them is dismissing the other. Also, it sounds like the plan was that Statler would be covering them for months because Dempsey, was starting at zero because she had no job. But if you do have money in the bank, why is that still the expectation? So this conversation ends and you can see that Statler is still thinking about it. Dempsey's annoyed that they're even having this conversation. And then we see them the next day. And it is back to Tension City. They have a long drive ahead, so they stop at a gas station. Again, Statler is stewing on this information while she's picking out snacks. Dempsey is like, yeah, like there's a lot of tension and we're kind of acting like nothing's going on. And overall, Dempsey is just frustrated. She feels like Statler is putting all this pressure on her, and that's just not what they agreed on. She just feels like it's not fair to her that she's bringing this up after they've already made this commitment. And I understand what Dempsey's saying. I understand wanting someone to just stick to their word. However, Miss Hippie Girl, you want someone that's flexible in thinking and lifestyle and all these things. You need to practice what you preach. You need to offer some flexibility because obviously the circumstance is different. As her partner that cares for her, if you see that she is living above her means and putting herself in an unnecessary hole for you, you step in, especially when you are able to. And if you're not able to, then you find a way. I'm sorry that it feels like pressure, but if Statler can't hold it together, this falls apart. Just in general, I don't think that you should put your entire livelihood in one person's hands because it's just not safe. Because anything can happen. Statler could lose her job. Like, you just never know. But I do want to address that Dempsey says that she has tried to communicate with Statler many times. And this is where I'm confused. I'm like, who do I believe? Dempsey says that when she has tried to have these conversations, Statler dismisses it. And I believe it, given the things that we've seen. Things get too hard, when they get too complicated, Statler checks out because that's where she's comfortable. So I understand how that is frustrating. So Statler's at this gas station, she's getting snacks, and it's time for her to pay for that and the gas. And it comes out to like 88 pounds, which is like $111. And she is gagged. It is a lot of money. However, did Statler not do any research? She keeps being shocked by the exchange rate. And at this point, it's like at this point, this is a you problem because why does someone have to explain to you an exchange rate? Also, you've been to England a few times for your ex-girlfriend and for Dempsey. You know what's up. Stop acting dense. And again, I call back to the whole van loan conversation where she completely sent the wrong amount of money because she forgot about the exchange rate. So all of a sudden, now in this moment, she's like, oh my God, I've never had a car this big. I didn't expect for vans to take up so much gas. How often do we have to get gas? These are questions that you could have asked before. Now you're in this van. It is too late, okay? You're already in it. Get with it or go home. And Dempsey looks so annoyed, and I understand. It is so frustrating because it's like, we're already in this. Like, why are you being a party pooper when you already agreed to it? So this gas bill has officially pushed Statler to have the conversation with Dempsey because she's like, I'm running out of money by the minute, like, and you are chilling with money. We need to talk about this. So Statler starts the conversation, and Dempsey's like, uh-oh, like, that's a serious face. And Statler's like, yeah, I've been thinking about how you have money in your account, and you were rushing me to send money for the car, but you had some already. Dempsey says that she only had 500 pounds. My people in the UK, did she only get 500 pounds for a car? Because that sounds very little for a car. So I don't know if I believe that. But she's just like annoyed again by this conversation. Also just like, I didn't have enough money to put up. And Statler is like, I feel like you're just hiding things from me. And Dempsey's like, actually, I'm not, because I told you about it. And that could be argued. You told her about it now. You didn't tell her about it when it happened. But Statler continues that she's like, listen, I'm just very worried. And what's also worrisome is that I am not in the lease for this car, this van. So Dempsey did all the paperwork for the van, and that is why her name is on the document. Also, it makes sense for her name to be on the document because she's the one that lives in the UK. And she says, she's like, there can't be more than one name on the document, but I told Statler that if it would make her feel more comfortable, she can draft a contract for me to sign that says that if anything were to happen, we would split that 50-50. And Statler never saw that through. Statler, in this conversation, looks away because, Dempsey's speaking a little too much truth. And she's like, I don't remember that. I don't remember that happening. You could see, if this was a cartoon, this would be the moment where steam would come out of Dempsey's ears. Because she's like, how can you say that? And I know that Statler's lying. Because the next thing that she says is, well, there was just a lot going on. So which one is it? You either didn't have the conversation, or there's a lot going on and you completely missed doing that. And if you still wanted to do that, there's still time to sign it. Like, y'all are still in this. And so while it's unfortunate that she's in debt, Statler is stubborn and she needs to take responsibility for the fact that she got herself in a hole, but it was of her doing. She didn't communicate with Dempsey all of these sacrifices that were happening to make this happen. And now she's resenting Dempsey. And Dempsey, I think that it was very convenient to put all her trust in Statler because it was going to get her to her dream life, the nomad life. So all that aside though, Dempsey looks really hurt in this conversation because she's like, wow, like you don't trust me. And it hurts me to think that you think I'm the kind of person that would leave you high and dry. And Statler's like, listen, these are my intrusive thoughts and I just have to get them out because they're eating me up. And I just get the feeling that you're scamming me. Like, that's what it feels like. I don't think this is a scam per se. I do think that Statler bit off more than she can chew. She talked a big game and Dempsey was like, you know what? I'm going to take you up on it. But Dempsey also adds in her confessional that Statler was the one that was pushing for this move to happen now. And so these are the terms that they made, and like, I understand why the expectation is for Statler to follow through. However, they're both silly gooses because Dempsey's like, I told Statler if she was worried about money, we could delay our plans. She could keep at her job, save some money. I could keep the trailer. We could, visit back and forth. And then we could do this so that we can save money. And Statler was like, no, I want to do this right now. So I don't know. So for right now, and it may change, I feel like Statler was the one that swindled Dempsey. You painted this picture that you'd be this sugar mama, and now you're broke and stuck in this small ass van dealing with your money troubles. And it's only going to get crazier with these two when Statler runs out of internet. And Dempsey has just had it with her negative Nancy energy. So I cannot wait to see that. Again, I haven't talked about these too much, so I would love to know the thoughts that y'all have had throughout this season. Definitely let me know. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one.